Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the human exploration vessel Endeavour, watching the stars drift by through the main viewing screen. The ship hummed quietly as it moved through the empty space near the Outer Rim territories. Jake had been captain for 3 years now, and he loved these quiet patrol missions. They gave his crew time to rest and train without the pressure of combat or diplomatic missions. "Captain," called Emma Davis from her position at the communications station. Her blonde hair was tied back in a neat bun, and her blue eyes showed concern. "I'm picking up a distress signal. It's very weak." Jake turned toward her. "What kind of signal, Emma?" "It's not human, sir. The pattern looks alien, but I can't identify the species. The signal is coming from about 2 hours away at our current speed." Dr. Lisa Grant looked up from her medical reports. She was a tall woman with brown hair and kind green eyes. As the chief medical officer, she always paid attention when distress calls came in. "Captain, if there are injured beings out there, we should help them." Jake nodded. "I agree. Marcus, what do our sensors show in that direction?" Security Chief. Marcus Webb was a big man with dark skin and a calm voice. He checked his readings carefully. "Nothing on long-range sensors, sir, just empty space. But if there's a damaged ship, it might be too small to detect from here." "Set course for the signal," Jake ordered. "Emma, keep monitoring the distress call. Let me know if anything changes." The Endeavour changed direction and increased speed. Jake had always believed that helping others was the right thing to do, no matter what species they were. The human government had taught all their space crews to offer aid to anyone in trouble. It was part of what made humans different from many other species in the galaxy. 2 hours later, Emma called out again. "Captain, I can see something on the short-range sensors now. It looks like an escape pod." "On screen," Jake said. The main viewer showed a small, damaged pod floating in space. It was spinning slowly, and Jake could see blast marks on its metal surface. The pod was clearly alien in design, with strange curves and markings that he didn't recognize. "Life signs?" Jake asked. Dr. Grant checked her medical sensors. "Yes, sir. One life form inside. The readings are very weak. Whatever is in there is badly hurt. Marcus, prepare a rescue team. Lisa, get the medical bay ready for an alien patient." "Right away, Captain," both officers replied. Within an hour, the rescue team had brought the damaged pod into the Endeavour's cargo bay. Jake, Lisa, and Marcus stood around it as the ship's engineers worked to open the pod safely. The metal was bent and twisted from whatever had damaged it. "Almost got it, sir," said Engineer Tom Bradley. He was a young man with red hair who was very good with alien technology. "The locking mechanism is different from anything I've seen, but I think I can open it without hurting whoever is inside." There was a hissing sound as the pod's seal broke. Tom stepped back as the top half of the pod lifted up. Everyone moved closer to see what was inside. Jake stopped breathing for a moment when he saw the creature in the pod. It was small, about the size of a human child, maybe 8 or 9 years old, but it definitely wasn't human. The being had dark green scales covering its body, and Jake could see sharp claws on its hands and feet. Its head was larger than a human child's head, with big yellow eyes that were now closed. The creature's mouth was slightly open, showing small but very sharp teeth. "Oh my," Dr. Grant whispered. She moved closer, her medical training taking over. "It's just a baby. Look how small it is." The creature was clearly very sick. Its breathing was shallow and fast. There were cuts and bruises on its scaled skin, and Jake could see that it was much too thin. "What species is it?" Marcus asked. He kept his hand near his weapon, but Jake could tell he was also concerned about the injured creature. "I don't know," Lisa said as she ran her medical scanner over the being. "But it's definitely a carnivore. Look at those teeth and claws, and the muscle structure suggests it's built for hunting." As if it could hear them talking, the creature's big yellow eyes slowly opened. It looked around with confusion and fear. When it saw the humans standing around it, it tried to sit up, but was too weak. It made a small sound that was somewhere between a whimper and a growl. "Easy there, little one," Dr. Grant said in her gentlest voice. "We're here to help you." The creature stared at her for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, it reached out one small clawed hand toward Lisa. She carefully took the hand in hers, being careful of the sharp claws. "Captain," Emma's voice came over the communication system. "I'm getting an incoming message from the Galactic Council. They want to talk to you right away. They say it's urgent." Jake looked down at the small creature, who was now holding Dr. Grant's hand and looking up at her with those big yellow eyes. Something about the situation didn't feel right. "Put them through to my ready room," Jake said. "Lisa, take care of our guest. Marcus, stay with them." Jake walked to his private office next to the bridge. The communication screen lit up, showing an alien face that Jake recognized. It was Council Representative Thane, a member of the Altarian species. Thane had blue skin and silver eyes, and he always looked serious. "Captain Morrison," Thane said without any greeting, "our sensors detected that you recovered an escape pod. What did you find inside?" "A badly injured child," Jake replied carefully. "We're providing medical care." Thane's silver eyes got wider. "Describe this child." Jake described the creature they had found. As he talked, Thane's expression became more and more worried. "Captain Morrison," Thane said when Jake finished, "you have found a Ravager. This is one of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. You must destroy it immediately." "Destroy it?" Jake couldn't believe what he was hearing. "It's just a child. It's hurt and scared." "You do not understand," Thane continued. "Ravagers are killers. They destroy everything they touch. Even their young are dangerous. The Galactic Council demands that you end this creature's life right now." "And if I refuse?" Jake asked. Thane's face became very cold. "Then humanity will face serious consequences. You have 1 hour to comply with this order, Captain Morrison. Do not make the mistake of protecting a monster." The communication ended, leaving Jake alone with a terrible choice. Jake Morrison sat in his ready room for a long time after the communication ended. The words from Council Representative Thane kept playing in his mind. Destroy the child. Kill a hurt and scared being just because of what species it was born into. Everything inside Jake rebelled against the idea. He walked back to the medical bay where Dr. Grant was working on the young creature. The alien child was now lying on one of the medical beds, looking much better than before. Lisa had cleaned its wounds and given it some kind of medicine that helped it breathe easier. "How is our patient doing?" Jake asked quietly. "Much better," Lisa replied, not taking her eyes off her work. "The injuries weren't as bad as I first thought. Mostly cuts and bruises, plus severe malnutrition. This little one hasn't eaten properly in weeks, maybe months." The creature turned its big yellow eyes toward Jake when it heard his voice. There was intelligence in those eyes, and something else that Jake hadn't expected to see. Trust. The being seemed to understand that the humans were trying to help it. "Captain," Marcus said from his position near the door, "what did the Galactic Council want?" Jake looked at his security chief, then at Dr. Grant, and finally at the small alien child on the bed. "They want us to kill it. They say it's a Ravager, one of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They gave us 1 hour to destroy it or face serious consequences." Dr. Grant stopped what she was doing and stared at Jake. "Kill this child? Are they insane? Look at it, Captain. Does this look like a monster to you?" As if it understood what they were talking about, the young creature made a soft sound and reached out toward Dr. Grant again. She took its hand gently, and the alien seemed to relax. "What do you think, Lisa?" Jake asked. "You're the medical expert here." "I think the Galactic Council is wrong," she said firmly. "Yes, this being has the physical features of a predator, the claws, the teeth, the muscle structure, But that doesn't make it evil. Humans have features that could be considered dangerous too. But we're not monsters. Marcus walked closer to the bed. The young alien watched him carefully, but didn't seem afraid. Captain, my job is to protect this ship and crew, but I don't see any threat from this child. If anything, it seems grateful for our help. Emma Davis entered the medical bay carrying a food tray. I brought some different types of food to see what it can eat, she said. Then she noticed the serious expressions on everyone's faces. What's wrong? Jake explained the situation to Emma. Her face showed the same shock and anger that the others had felt. They want us to murder a child? Emma asked. That's horrible. It's not murder to them, Jake said sadly. To the Galactic Council, this is pest control. They see Ravagers as nothing more than dangerous animals. Dr. Grant had been listening, while she continued to care for the alien child. Now she spoke up with determination in her voice. Captain, I want permission to study this being's biology and behavior. I think the galaxy is wrong about Ravagers. What do you mean? Jake asked. Look at how it responds to kindness. Watch how it tries to communicate with us, even though we don't speak the same language. This isn't the behavior of a mindless killer. This is an intelligent, emotional being who has been hurt and abandoned. To prove her point, Lisa held up a piece of fruit from the food tray. The alien child looked at it with interest, but didn't grab it aggressively. Instead, it looked at Lisa, as if asking permission. When she nodded and smiled, the creature carefully took the fruit and ate it slowly, making happy sounds. See? Lisa said. It understands social behavior. It knows to ask before taking food. That's not instinct. That's learned behavior from a civilized species. Jake watched the interaction and felt his decision becoming clearer. Emma, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them about our situation and request guidance. Yes, sir, Emma replied, and hurried back to the communications station. Over the next few hours, the crew of the Endeavor got to know their unusual guest better. Dr. Grant discovered that the alien child was very intelligent. It learned to recognize different crew members and even tried to copy some of their words. Marcus found that it was curious about everything and loved to watch him work on the ship's systems. Emma spent time trying to teach it basic English words. The creature was a fast learner and soon could say simple things like thank you and friend. Its voice was different from a human voice, with a slight hissing sound, but the words were clear enough to understand. The alien child seemed especially attached to Dr. Grant, who had been the first person to show it kindness. It would watch her with those big yellow eyes and make soft, happy sounds when she was nearby. We need to give it a name, Lisa said during one of their visits to the medical bay. We can't keep calling it the creature or it. What do you suggest? Jake asked. Lisa thought for a moment, looking at the young alien who was now sitting up and trying to draw pictures on a piece of paper that Emma had given it. Alex, after my brother. He always helped anyone who needed it, just like we're doing now. The alien child looked up when it heard the name Alex and pointed to itself with a questioning expression. Yes, Lisa said with a smile. Alex, that's your name now. Alex made a happy sound and repeated the name several times, as if he liked the way it sounded. The message from Earth Command came back several hours later. Admiral Patricia Stone appeared on the communication screen in Jake's ready room. She was an older woman with gray hair and a stern expression. Captain Morrison, she began. I've read your report about the Ravager child. The situation is very difficult. The Galactic Council has contacted Earth directly and is demanding compliance with their orders. Jake felt his heart sink. What are your orders, Admiral? My orders are to follow Galactic Council directives, she said. But then her expression softened slightly. However, I'm also ordering you to conduct a full scientific study of the creature before taking any action. Dr. Grant's medical expertise may provide valuable information about this species. Jake understood what the Admiral was really saying. She was giving them time to find another solution. How much time do we have? Jake asked. The Council is giving us 48 more hours, Admiral Stone replied. Use that time wisely, Captain. And Jake, be careful. If you're wrong about this creature, the consequences could be terrible for everyone. After the communication ended, Jake returned to the medical bay where Alex was playing a simple game with Marcus. The young alien was laughing, a sound that was surprisingly similar to human laughter. Jake made his decision. Whatever the Galactic Council believed about Ravagers, Alex was not a monster. He was a child who deserved a chance to live and grow. The crew of the Endeavor would protect him no matter what the cost might be. 2 days had passed since Alex joined the crew of the Endeavor, and everything had changed. The young Ravager had become part of their daily routine. He helped Emma organize data files, watched Marcus repair equipment, and spent hours with Dr. Grant learning new words and concepts. Captain Jake Morrison was reading Dr. Grant's latest research report when Emma's voice came over the communication system. Her tone was worried. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting multiple ships approaching our position. They're still several hours away, but they're definitely heading straight for us. Jake hurried to the bridge. How many ships, Emma? At least 12, sir. The computer identifies them as various Galactic Council species. Altarian, Centauri, and others. It looks like a joint task force. Marcus checked his tactical displays. Captain, these aren't exploration ships. They're military vessels, cruisers, destroyers, and what looks like a command ship. Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. The Galactic Council wasn't just sending a message anymore. They were sending a fleet to take Alex by force. Emma, try to contact the lead ship. Let's see what they want. The main screen showed Commander Vex of the Altarian Republic. He was tall and thin, with blue skin and silver eyes like all Altarians. His expression was serious but not cruel. Captain Morrison, Commander Vex said, I am leading this task force under direct orders from the Galactic Council. You have a dangerous creature aboard your ship that must be retrieved immediately. Commander, with respect, Alex is just a child, Jake replied. He's not dangerous to anyone. Alex? Commander Vex looked confused. You named it? Captain, you don't understand what you're dealing with. Ravagers are responsible for the destruction of entire star systems. They cannot be reasoned with or tamed. Have you ever actually met a Ravager? Jake asked. Commander Vex paused for a moment. No, but the historical records are clear. They are killers and destroyers. The galaxy is safer without them. A second face appeared on the screen next to Commander Vex. This was General Koss of the Centauri Alliance. Unlike the Altarian, General Koss looked angry. He had gray skin and red eyes, and his voice was harsh. Enough talk, General Koss said. Human, you will surrender the Ravager immediately, or we will take it by force. Your ship cannot stand against our entire fleet. General, Jake said carefully, we're not looking for a fight. We just want to protect an innocent child. There are no innocent Ravagers, General Koss replied. Every moment that creature lives, it becomes more dangerous. You are risking the safety of the entire galaxy. The communication ended, leaving Jake and his crew to face a terrible situation. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but none of them wanted to give up Alex. Captain, Marcus said, I recommend we move to the Kepler asteroid field. It's only 3 hours away at maximum speed. The asteroids will make it harder for them to follow us and give us some protection. Do it, Jake ordered. Emma, send a message to Admiral Stone. Tell her what's happening. As the Endeavor raced toward the asteroid field, Jake went to find Alex. The young Ravager was in the medical bay with Dr. Grant, working on a drawing. When Alex saw Jake, he smiled and held up his picture. Look, Captain Jake, Alex said in his careful English. I draw my family. The picture showed several Ravager figures standing together. They had the same scales and claws as Alex, but they looked peaceful and happy. In the center was a smaller figure that was clearly Alex himself. That's beautiful, Alex, Jake said. Tell me about your family. Alex's big yellow eyes became sad. bad ships came, made loud noises and bright lights. My mama told me to go in the small ship and hide. I waited and waited, but they never came back. Dr. Grant put her hand on Alex's shoulder. I'm so sorry, Alex. That must have been very scary. But you found me, Alex said, looking at both humans with trust and affection. You made me safe. You are my family now. Jake felt his heart break a little. This child had lost everything, and now the galaxy wanted to take away his second chance at life. Alex, Jake said gently, some people are coming who don't understand. That you're good. They think you're dangerous because of what you look like. We're going to hide for a while until we can show them they're wrong. Alex nodded seriously. Like hide-and-seek game? Yes, something like that. Dr. Grant had been working on her research during the past 2 days, and she had made some important discoveries. She pulled Jake aside to share what she had learned. Captain, I've been studying Alex's biology and behavior. I think I understand why the galaxy fears Ravagers so much and why they're completely wrong. What did you find? Jake asked. Look at this, Lisa said, showing him her data. Alex's physical structure isn't designed for hunting other intelligent species. His claws are perfect for climbing and digging. His teeth are meant for eating a specific type of plant that grows on his home world. And look at this brain scan. She showed Jake images of Alex's brain activity. The areas that control aggression and violence are very small, but the areas that control problem-solving, empathy, and social bonding are much larger than in most species. Ravagers aren't predators, Captain. They're gardeners and protectors. Protectors of what? Jake asked. I'm still working on that part, but I think the galaxy has made a terrible mistake about Alex's people. The Endeavor reached the Kepler asteroid field just as the pursuing fleet came into sensor range. Marcus skillfully guided the ship between the floating rocks, using their mass to hide the ship's energy signature. They're spreading out to search. For us, Emma reported. The command ship is staying back, but the smaller ships are entering the field. For the next several hours, it was like a deadly game of hide-and-seek. The Endeavor moved carefully through the asteroids while the alien ships searched for them. Alex helped by staying very quiet and even drew pictures to keep himself busy. During one close call, when a Centauri destroyer passed very near their hiding spot, Alex did something that surprised everyone. He moved to the ship's hull and placed his small clawed hands against the metal. His eyes closed, and he seemed to be listening to something. They go that way, Alex whispered, pointing in a direction away from the Endeavor. Big ship with red lights very angry. They think we hide behind the spinning rock. Marcus checked his sensors and saw that Alex was right. The destroyer was moving toward a large rotating asteroid on the other side of the field. How did he know that? Marcus asked quietly. I don't know, Dr. Grant replied, but she looked thoughtful. Alex, can you feel where the other ships are? Alex nodded. They make sounds in the big dark, not sounds like talking. Sounds like heartbeats. I can feel them. This was another piece of the puzzle for Dr. Grant. Ravagers had abilities that no one in the galaxy understood. Instead of making them dangerous, these abilities might make them incredibly valuable. As the hours passed, more ships joined the search. Commander Vex and General Koss were determined to find them, and Jake knew they couldn't hide forever. They needed a plan and they needed help. Emma, any word from Admiral Stone? Jake asked. Yes, sir. She's coming with a small fleet, but she's still 8 hours away. And Captain, she sent a coded message. Earth Command is officially supporting our position. They're not going to abandon us. Jake felt relief, but he also knew that even with human help, they were still badly outnumbered. The alien task force had more ships and more firepower. Then Alex did something that changed everything. He walked up to Captain Jake and took his hand with his small clawed fingers. Captain Jake, Alex said in his careful English, I know you. try to keep me safe. But maybe I should go with them. I don't want my new family to get hurt because of me." Jake knelt down so he could look directly into Alex's yellow eyes. "Alex, we chose to protect you because it was the right thing to do. Real families don't abandon each other when things get difficult. You're part of our crew now, and we take care of our own." Alex hugged Jake tightly, and Jake realized that no matter what happened next, they had already won something important. They had saved a child and given him love when the rest of the galaxy had only given him fear. But the hunt was far from over, and Jake knew that soon they would have to make a stand. Captain Jake Morrison knew they couldn't hide in the asteroid field forever. The alien ships were getting closer with each search pattern, and soon they would be discovered. He made a decision that would change everything. "Emma, prepare a galaxy-wide broadcast," Jake ordered. "We're going to show everyone the truth about Alex." "Sir, that will give away our position," Marcus warned. "I know," Jake replied, "but maybe it's time to stop running and start fighting for what's right." Dr. Grant brought Alex to the bridge. The young Ravager looked nervous, but determined. Over the past few days, he had learned that his new human family was risking everything to protect him. "Alex," Jake said gently, "we want to show the galaxy who you really are. Will you help us?" Alex nodded. "I help. I want them to know I'm not scary." Emma activated the broadcast system. "We're transmitting to every communication relay in this sector, Captain. Half the galaxy will see this." Jake stood in front of the camera with Alex beside him. Dr. Grant was nearby with all her research data ready to share. "People of the galaxy," Jake began, "my name is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Endeavor. We found a badly injured child floating in space, and we did what any decent being would do. We helped him. This child's name is Alex, and he is a Ravager." Jake paused as Alex waved shyly at the camera. "The Galactic Council has ordered us to kill this child because they believe his species is dangerous. But look at him. Watch how he behaves. Judge for yourselves." For the next several minutes, the broadcast showed Alex playing games with the crew, learning to read and helping with simple tasks around the ship. It showed him drawing pictures of his lost family and hugging Dr. Grant when he felt sad. Dr. Grant presented her research findings, explaining in simple terms that Alex's biology showed he was not a predator, but likely evolved as a protector. Species. She showed brain scans that proved Alex was intelligent, emotional, and social. "The galaxy has been wrong about Ravagers," Dr. Grant said to the camera. "They are not monsters. They are people, just like all of us." The broadcast ended, with Alex speaking directly to the camera. "My name is Alex," he said in his careful English. "I lost my family, but Captain Jake and his friends became my new family. I just want to be safe and learn and help people. Please don't hurt my new family because they help me." As soon as the broadcast ended, Emma reported that their position had been detected. "Multiple ships closing in, Captain. They'll be here in 20 minutes. But something unexpected was happening across the galaxy. The broadcast was being shared from ship to ship, planet to planet. Many species had never actually seen a Ravager before, and Alex's gentle behavior shocked them. Commander Vex contacted the Endeavor again. His blue face showed confusion and doubt. "Captain Morrison, that broadcast was very effective propaganda, but it proves nothing. The creature could be acting to deceive you." "Commander," Jake replied, "Alex is 8 years old. Do you really think a child that young could fake emotions and intelligence for days without making a mistake?" Before Commander Vex could answer, General Koss's angry face appeared on the screen. "Enough lies," General Koss said. "All Ravagers are dangerous, young or old. We are moving in to take the creature by force." The communication ended just as Admiral Patricia Stone arrived with 3 human ships. Her vessels moved to protect the Endeavor, but they were still outnumbered 3-1. "Jake," Admiral Stone's voice came over the communication system. Earth Command has reviewed all the evidence. We're officially supporting your position. We will not abandon Alex or your crew. The standoff began with both fleets facing each other among the asteroids. No one wanted to fire the first shot, but tensions were very high. Then disaster struck. The Endeavor's main power system, damaged from days of hiding and running, finally gave out. Emergency power came on, but life support was failing. Captain, Marcus reported, "We're losing atmosphere in sections 3 and 4. The backup systems can't handle the load." Jake felt panic rising. They were trapped between alien fleets with a failing ship and a child to protect. That's when Alex surprised everyone again. He walked to a damaged control panel and placed his small clawed hands on the exposed circuits. "Alex, no," Dr. Grant called out. "Those are live electrical systems." But Alex wasn't being hurt by the electricity. Instead, his scales began to glow with a soft green light. The ship's systems started working better almost immediately. "How is he doing that?" Emma asked in amazement. "I don't know," Dr. Grant replied, watching her scanners carefully. "But his body seems to be channeling and regulating the electrical current. He's actually fixing our power grid." Alex worked for several minutes, moving from panel to panel. His scales continued to glow as he somehow repaired systems that should have taken hours to fix. When he was done, the Endeavor was running better than it had in months. "Thank you, Alex," Jake said, amazed by what he had witnessed. Alex smiled tiredly. "Ship was hurt. I made it better, like you made me better." Dr. Grant ran more scans on Alex and discovered something incredible. "Captain, Alex's people don't just have the ability to sense electromagnetic fields. They can manipulate them. They're natural engineers and healers for both living beings and technology." The demonstration had been broadcast to both fleets. Many of the alien crews had seen Alex use his abilities not to harm, but to heal and repair. "Commander." Vex contacted them again, and this time his voice was different. "Captain Morrison, what we just witnessed, it changes things. If Ravagers can repair and heal instead of destroy, then perhaps we have been wrong about them." But General Koss was not convinced. "Tricks and lies," he said angrily. "The creature is manipulating you all. We are moving in to capture it now." The Centauri ships began advancing despite Commander Vex's protests. It looked like the peaceful standoff was about to become a battle. Then Alex did something that no one expected. He walked to the communication station and began making strange sounds. Not words, but complex patterns of clicks, whistles, and low humming noises. "What is he doing?" Jake asked. Emma checked her instruments. "Captain, he's broadcasting those sounds on multiple frequencies. It's like he's calling out to something." "To what?" Jake asked. Alex stopped making the sounds and looked up at Jake with his big yellow eyes. "I call to my people. Maybe some are still alive. Maybe they can help." For several long minutes, nothing happened. The Centauri ships kept approaching while everyone waited to see if Alex's call would be answered. Then Emma's sensors detected something new. "Captain, 3 objects approaching at high speed from outside the system. They're big, and they're moving faster than anything I've ever seen." The objects were ships, but unlike any ships in the galactic databases, they were organic-looking, with flowing lines and the same green glow that Alex's scales had shown. Adult Ravagers had answered. Their child's call for help, and they were coming to protect him. The 3 Ravager ships arrived at the edge of the asteroid field, and everyone held their breath. These vessels were massive, easily twice the size of the largest Galactic Council ships. Their hulls seemed to be alive, pulsing with the same green light that Alex's scales had shown. Captain Jake Morrison watched the main screen as the alien fleets repositioned themselves. The Galactic Council ships were clearly nervous about these new arrivals. Many had never seen an adult Ravager ship before. Emma, are they trying to communicate? Jake asked. Not in any language I recognize, Captain, but Alex seems to understand something. The young Ravager was standing very still, his eyes closed and his head tilted as if listening to something only he could hear. They are scared, Alex said quietly. The big Ravagers are scared. They think this is a trap to hurt them like before. Can you tell them we're trying to help? Jake asked. Alex nodded and began making the same complex sounds he had used to call them. This time the sounds were different, more gentle and reassuring. One of the Ravager ships moved closer, but stopped when the Centauri vessels raised their weapons. General Koss's voice came over the communication system. All ships prepare to fire. We are facing a Ravager battle fleet. This is exactly the threat we were trying to prevent. Wait, Commander Vex interrupted. General, those ships haven't made any aggressive moves. Perhaps we should try to communicate first. The time for talk is over, General Koss replied. All Centauri ships target the lead Ravager vessel. That's when everything went wrong. As the Centauri ships powered up their weapons, something else appeared on the long-range sensors. Emma's voice was filled with fear as she made the report. Captain, massive contacts approaching from deep space. Hundreds of them. They're not showing up as any known ship type. Dr. Grant checked her own sensors, and her face went pale. Those aren't ships, Captain. They're alive, and they're huge. The new contacts were moving toward the populated systems, beyond the asteroid field. As they got closer, the computer was able to analyze them better. What they saw made everyone's blood run cold. The creatures were the size of space stations, with multiple mouths filled with teeth and tentacles that could crush starships. They moved through space like swimming through water, and they were heading directly toward the nearest inhabited planet. What are those things? Jake asked. Alex opened his eyes and looked at the screen. When he saw the creatures, he made a sound of pure terror. Devourers, Alex whispered. The big hunger things, they eat everything. They eat whole worlds. Dr. Grant quickly accessed the ship's database and found old legends about creatures called devourers. According to the ancient stories, they were cosmic predators that consumed entire planets, leaving nothing behind but empty space. Captain, Emma reported, the devourers are ignoring all our ships. They're heading straight for the Kepler colony. There are 500,000 people there. The situation had suddenly become much bigger than a disagreement about one Ravager child. An entire planet full of innocent people was about to be destroyed. General Koss tried to give orders to attack the Devourers, but the weapons of the Galactic Council ships barely scratched the creature's tough skin. The monsters kept moving toward the colony like the ships weren't even there. Commander Vex contacted all the ships in the area. All vessels, we need to work together to stop these creatures. Our weapons aren't effective enough alone. But the combined firepower of both human and alien fleets still wasn't enough. The Devourers were too big and too strong. That's when the adult Ravagers acted. The 3 ships moved toward the Devourer swarm, and something amazing happened. The Ravager vessels began to change shape, stretching and flowing like liquid metal. They formed a barrier between the Devourers and the path to the colony. Alex became very excited. They remember, he said. The big Ravagers remember what they are supposed to do. What do you mean? Jake asked. My people, we fight the big hunger. Things. That is what we do. That is what we have always done. Dr. Grant suddenly understood. Captain, Ravagers aren't predators. They're guardians. They evolved to fight the Devourers and protect other species. The 3 Ravager ships began using abilities that no one had ever seen before. They generated powerful energy fields that could actually hurt the Devourers. They moved with incredible speed and coordination, working together like parts of a single organism. But there were only 3 Ravager ships against hundreds of Devourers. They were fighting bravely, but they were being overwhelmed. Alex watched the battle with tears in his big yellow eyes. Not enough, he said sadly. Need more Ravagers, but the galaxy killed most of my people. Commander Vex and General Koss watched in shock as they realized the truth. The galaxy had spent centuries hunting and killing the very beings who were meant to protect them from the real threat. "How many Ravagers are left?" Commander Vex asked quietly. "Very few," Alex replied. "Maybe 20 or 30 in the whole galaxy. Most hide in dark places where no one can find them." General Koss looked at the battle on his screen. His ship's weapons were useless against the Devourers, but the Ravagers were actually winning their fights. However, there weren't enough Ravagers to stop the entire swarm. "We were wrong," General Koss said, his voice heavy with shame. "We destroyed our own protectors. The lead Devourer broke through the Ravager defense line and continued toward the colony. There was nothing left to stop it from reaching the planet and consuming every living thing there." Alex made a decision that surprised everyone. He walked to the communication station and began making the loudest, most complex sounds anyone had ever heard from him. "Alex, what are you doing?" Dr. Grant asked. "I call to all my people," Alex said, his small voice filled with determination. "Every Ravager left in the galaxy. I tell them the big hunger things have come. I tell them there are people here who will help us instead of hurt us. I tell them it is time to fight together again." The sound Alex made traveled through space on frequencies that human and alien communication systems had never detected before. It was a call that reached across star systems, touching the minds of every surviving Ravager in the galaxy. For several minutes, nothing happened. The remaining Ravager ships continued their desperate fight, while the lead Devourer got closer and closer to the colony. Then, one by one, new contacts began appearing on the sensors. Ravager ships were arriving from all directions, coming out of hiding places where they had been surviving for years. Old ships and young ships, large ships and small ships, all answering the call of a brave child who refused to let another world die. The real battle was about to begin, and for the first time in centuries, the Ravagers would not be fighting alone. 27 Ravager ships appeared around the asteroid field within an hour of Alex's call. They came from distant star systems where they had been hiding, afraid and alone. But now they had hope, and they had purpose again. Captain Jake Morrison watched in amazement as the Ravager vessels moved into formation. Each ship was different, reflecting the personality and experiences of its Ravager family. Some were scarred from old battles. Others looked like they had been built recently from salvaged parts. Alex stood on the bridge of the Endeavor, his scales glowing brightly as he continued to communicate with his people. His small body was trembling from the effort, but he wouldn't stop. "The big Ravagers remember now," Alex said to Jake. "They remember they are guardians, not monsters. They remember they protect the little people like you." Dr. Grant monitored Alex's vital signs carefully. The young Ravager was using abilities that were far beyond what a child his age should be capable of. But somehow, his connection to the other Ravagers was making him stronger. The battle against the Devourers began in earnest. The Ravager ships moved with incredible coordination, like fingers on the same hand. They used their ability to manipulate energy and matter to create weapons and defenses that could actually hurt the cosmic predators. But they couldn't do it alone. The Devourers were too numerous and too powerful for even the combined Ravager fleet to handle. Commander Vex contacted Captain Morrison. "Captain, our weapons may not be able to hurt those creatures directly, but perhaps we can support the Ravagers in other ways." "What do you have in mind?" Jake asked. "Our ships have powerful sensors and communication systems. We could help coordinate the battle and provide the Ravagers with information about the Devourers' movements." General Koss, who had been quiet since realizing how wrong he had been, finally spoke up. "The Centauri fleet offers our shields and defensive systems to protect the Ravager ships while they fight. For the first time in galactic history, alien fleets were working together to support the Ravagers instead of hunting them. The battle was fierce and terrible. The Devourers were unlike any enemy anyone had ever faced. They didn't use technology or strategy. They simply consumed everything in their path with mindless hunger. But the Ravagers knew how to fight them. It was what they had been born to do. They used their ships like living extensions of their bodies, flowing and changing to match each new threat. Alex continued to coordinate the defense from the Endeavor. His young mind somehow connected all the Ravager ships, allowing them to work together with perfect timing. "Alex," Dr. Grant said gently, "you need to rest. You're pushing yourself too hard." "Can't rest," Alex replied, his voice tired but determined. "My people need me. The little people need protection." Jake knelt down beside Alex. "You're amazing, Alex. Your people are amazing, but you don't have to do this alone anymore." That's when Jake had an idea. "Emma, can you link our ship's computer systems to Alex's communication network?" "I think so, Captain. What do you have in mind?" "If Alex is coordinating the Ravagers, maybe our computers can help him process all that information. Make him stronger and more effective." Emma worked quickly to establish the connection. When it was complete, something wonderful happened. Alex's burden became lighter as the human computers helped him manage the complex coordination of the battle. Other ships began linking their systems to the network. Altarian vessels added their advanced sensors. Centauri ships contributed their tactical computers. Even some of the neutral species that had been watching the battle decided to help. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was working together as it was meant to. The tide of battle began to turn. With proper coordination and support, the Ravagers were able to drive back the Devourer swarm. One by one, the cosmic predators were defeated or forced to retreat into deep space. The largest Devourer, the one that had been heading for the colony, made a final desperate attack. It broke through the defensive lines and seemed certain to reach the planet. That's when Alex did something that no one expected. He asked to be taken to one of the Ravager ships. "I need to be with my people for this part," Alex explained. "The big hunger thing is too strong for ships alone. We need to do what our ancestors did." Jake didn't want to let Alex go, but he understood. The young Ravager had grown up over the past few days, and this was his choice to make. Dr. Grant went with Alex to make sure he stayed safe. They were transported to the largest Ravager ship, where Alex met other members of his species for the first time since losing his family. The adult Ravagers welcomed Alex with gentle touches and soft sounds. They could sense his strength and his connection to the humans who had protected him. Together, all the Ravagers focused their abilities on the last Devourer. Their ships merged into a single, massive organism of living metal and energy. With Alex helping to coordinate their efforts, they were able to create a weapon powerful enough to destroy the cosmic predator once and for all. When the battle was over, the galaxy was safe. The Devourers had been defeated, and everyone had seen the truth about the Ravagers. The aftermath brought great changes. The Galactic Council formally apologized to the Ravager people and offered them full membership and protection. Laws were passed to ensure that no species would ever be hunted to near extinction again, based on fear and misunderstanding. Alex became the first Ravager ambassador, working to rebuild trust between his people and the rest of the galaxy. He spent time learning from both humans and Ravagers, becoming a bridge between different worlds and ways of thinking. Captain Morrison and his crew were honored as heroes, but they took the greatest pride in watching Alex grow into his new role. The frightened, injured child they had found in an escape pod had become a leader who would help shape the future of the galaxy. Dr. Grant established the first Institute for Interspecies Understanding, where beings from different worlds could learn about each other without fear or prejudice. Her research on Ravager biology became the foundation for new medical treatments that helped many species. Alex often visited the Endeavor, which had become a symbol of hope and cooperation throughout the galaxy. He would sit with Jake and tell him about his work helping other refugees and outcasts find new homes and families. "You taught me something important, Captain Jake," Alex said during one of these visits. He was taller now, his scales brighter and his voice more confident. You taught me that family is not just about who shares your blood or your species. Family is about who chooses to love and protect you when you need it most. Jake smiled and put his hand on Alex's shoulder. You taught us something too, Alex. You taught us that sometimes the most important thing we can do is look past our fears and see the person inside, no matter how different they might appear. Years later, when historians wrote about the Great Devourer War, they would focus on the epic space battles and the alien technologies. But those who were there knew the real story. It was the story of a frightened child who found a family willing to risk everything to protect him. It was the story of how love and understanding could overcome fear and hatred. It was the story of how humanity's greatest strength was not their weapons or their ships, but their willingness to shelter the lost and defend the innocent. And in the end, that was the most human thing of all.